twinkling watermelon has arrived and is ready to conquer our hearts, note by note. Today we will talk about the first 2 episodes that were broadcast. Let's analyze them together. I would be happy if you too could express your opinion on this new upcoming drama. We're starting off on the right foot with this series. It's fun, charming, relatable, and has that touch of intrigue. In these first 2 episodes, we get a lot of background information, so the real story will take flight next week. All this backstory was needed to show us how high the challenges are to face, probably to make us endear ourselves to the characters at the right time in the future. We begin to get to know our hero when he is still a boy, and right from the start the drama wants us to understand how much weight weighs on his shoulders. In a family of 4, 2 parents and 2 children, Haeungyol, played by Young Hyunjun as his younger self, is the only one who can hear. Both his mother and father, Seo Young-hee and Choi Won-young, are deaf, as is his older brother. This is not only an interesting take on the familiar feeling of feeling out of place in your family, but also a really believable premise as to why our hero will have to let it go next. Because he is the voice that connects their family to the world. He has taken on the role of an adult from a young age, protecting his family as best he can. For example, his parents run a restaurant and we see him talking to customers, dealing with bad business transactions, and having to watch over his older brother while his parents are busy. Wow, that's a lot for a 12-year-old boy to take in. But this boy also has the highest grades in school, many awards, and a talent for the guitar that he will soon discover. The guy is doing it all, and it's only a matter of time before he reaches his breaking point. One really cool thing about the show is all the sign language. When the characters communicate with each off, or via sign language, we are given voiceover interpretations of the words spoken. However, this only happens when both characters can understand each other. When a character is signaling to someone who doesn't understand, we too are left in ignorance. It's an effective narrative device that creates a bit of suspense, but I think it also helps give us a better sense of the specific difficulties of these characters who we see time and time again face discrimination on a regular basis. So to get our story started, the family moves into a new apartment. The landlady is a terrible, shrieking antagonist, with a son the same age as Eun-jaeol and an even more terrible mother than her. The son bullies Eun-jaeol until one day she stands in front of a music store, listens to the words of an Eric Clapton song and starts crying profusely. He's not crying because he was beaten, he claims, but because the song touched him. This turns out to be a life-changing moment for him because the shop owner, whom he simply calls Harebaji, offers to teach him to play the guitar so he can play Tears in Heaven. Eun-jaeol is a boy prodigy and quickly moves on to new songs and new types of guitars. One day, Harebaji assigns him a task. Complete an incomplete song that he has kept aside by an unknown artist. I have a feeling that Harebaji knows the artist and that we'll need this information later, but for now, Eun-jaeol just knows that if he finishes this song, he'll get to keep that amazing guitar he's got his eye on in the shop. And this is where the big problems begin. With her parents at work and her sick brother in bed, Eun-jaeol completes the song and rushes to the music store to win that guitar. 2 things happen. First, the shop is locked and he can't get in, but worse, it later turns out that Harebaji is no longer among us. Secondly, while Eun-jaeol is supposed to be at home taking care of her brother, the landlady's rude son throws a lit cigarette into their apartment and the place burns down. Don't worry, everyone survives. The point of this scene is that the dad rushes into the burning building after already saving his first child because he believes that Eun-jaeol is still in there. Even though her dad does great and makes it out alive, Eun-jaeol is never able to free herself from the guilt of that moment. They are kicked out of their house, even though the landlady suspects that the fire was caused by her son. And our little hero is burdened by the weight of responsibilities on all sides. Then we come to a 6-year time jump. Eun-jaeol, now played by Ryan, is in the 11th grade of high school and spends time with his brother, Haeunho, as old friends. They do taekwondo, go to cafes, talk about girls and generally add a touch of adorableness to everything around them. We find out that Eun-jaeol is still a guitar genius and continues to hide it from his family. Yeah, they never knew what he was doing back then when he left Eunho alone. Now, when he is extremely stressed with studies and family duties, he goes out on the street and plays in disguise, so no one knows who he is. He has gained quite a following for his street performances and ends up being approached by an up-and-coming band that has one member less. Now he has a dilemma. Dad is so proud that he is at the top of his class and that he plans to go to medical school, saying that he finally feels important thanks to his good children. But Eun-jaeol loves to perform. What will be his choice? Music or medicine? He decides he'll try to do both, in secret, and starts practicing with his new bandmates at a club, performing in front of screaming fans, where there's also smoking and drinking going on, but not on Eun's part. Jaeol. Unfortunately, the terrible landlady from 6 years ago sees Eun-jaeol outside the club, appears to be participating in illicit activities, and tells her father. That's because she and her father are now in a dispute over a recent car accident, in which there's a dispute over who was driving her car. Her son was driving, but she claims it was her. Before their argument escalates to the point that she reports Eun-jaeol, he asks his father why he can't let it go. You're saying she'll pay for everything, who cares who was driving? And his father's response hits him hard. The father feels guilty for not standing up for his family 6 years ago when they were evicted, and so this time he isn't giving in. This brings out all the guilt on Eun-jaeol, who was secretly playing music when her father was in danger of dying in the fire, just like she's doing now, and she decides to leave the band. This family cares so much about each other. But Eun-jaeol feels suffocated by being the perfect son. Desperate to escape this pressure, she returns to the location where the music store used to be and finds that it is now an expensive-looking house. She learns that Harabiji's daughter tore down the shop and now lives there with her cello-playing daughter. However, he kept the guitar he was supposed to win 6 years ago. Had Harabiji bequeathed it to him somehow? And now it is in his hands, along with the message that Harabiji considered him the best guitarist he had ever heard. Okay, he's back in the band. It wasn't an easy decision, but he has to at least try after that message from Harabiji. And here's the moment when the bad landlady tells Eun-jaeol's dad about her involvement in the club. It happens that the night dad comes to the show, the lead singer is sick and Eun-jaeol has to take off his mask to replace him. He's cute. I'm pretty sure his dad would have recognized him anyway. This leads to a crazy confrontation where Eun-jaeol finally says how she feels. I'm not an interpreter, a fire alarm, or an angel. It's just me. Dad is surprised and asks why he didn't tell him sooner, to which Eun-jaeol yells something like, "What? You can't even hear." Wow. That got heavy fast. Dad is stunned and stands there motionless as Eun-jaeol walks away. Later, he is about to smash his guitar into pieces when a music shop appears in front of him. He walks in, decides to sell his guitar instead, and when he walks out the door, he's time-traveled back to 1995. On the street, as soon as he arrives, he meets a boy his age named Hayi-chan. Dad? He says he is the father of him, who could hear and speak at the time. And that's where they leave us this week. Now, about that sneaky narrative structure I talked about at the beginning. After the 6-year time jump, we were introduced to some characters, including Ichan, whose story seemed to run parallel to the main one. The whole time I was wondering why they didn't connect this story to the family better. Then, the last scene is a reveal where we see that this other plot is actually set in the past. The drama tried to trick us by mentioning a cellist in the present, but without showing us her face, and then introduced us to a character called Choi Sekyung who is also a cellist. What we realize at the last second is that Sekyung is actually the daughter of Harabiaji, who we met as an adult in the present. In the 1995 timeline, she was a cellist, and now she has a daughter who plays the cello and carries the same case. What we've learned up to this point following her story is that she is highly sought after, including by Ichan, who is basically stalking her to get her attention. When we last saw her, she had decided to join a band to seem more attractive. So Dad wanted to be in a band, huh? This is all much funnier in retrospect, now that we know that the serious Dad we knew in the present shows no signs of his funnier past. Choi Hyun-wook's character here reminds me a lot of his performance in 2521, and I can't wait to see more of him. The premise for all of this is just too good. We have realistic pressure cooker reasons why Dad and son might be in conflict. We have a question about how Dad lost his hearing. We get the irony that Dad wanted to be in a band to impress girls, no less, and didn't want Eun Jaeol to be in it, even though he really likes her. And we also have the romantic question, what happened between Ichan and Sekyung in the past, and what kind of torment awaits us now that Sekyung has returned to Korea in the present. Additionally, we've seen another character in the 1995 timeline but haven't been formally introduced yet. She has a lively demeanor and appears to be deaf. If that's her mother, I'm curious to know her story. In conclusion, Twinkling Watermelon presents a story filled with relatable characters, intricate family dynamics, and a touch of time-traveling intrigue. As we follow Eun Jaeol's journey from a young boy burdened by responsibility to a teenager torn between his passion for music and the pressure to excel academically, we're drawn into a tale of self-discovery and the pursuit of dreams. The clever use of sign language in the series not only adds depth to the characters but also highlights the discrimination they face, creating a sense of empathy in the audience. The show expertly weaves together various storylines, both in the past and the present, keeping us engaged and eager for more. As we delve into the mysteries of Eun Jaeol's family and the connections between characters in the past and present, Twinkling Watermelon promises a compelling narrative with layers of emotion, humor, and nostalgia. With each episode, we're left with questions, anticipation, and a desire to uncover the secrets that bind this captivating story together. So, make sure to stay tuned to our channel for in-depth reviews, analysis, and discussions on Twinkling Watermelon. Join us as we unravel the threads of this intriguing drama and explore the profound themes it brings to life. Until next time, keep twinkling with curiosity and wonder.